nothing this week. Under E, under consent agenda, I have no recommended pulls. Does anyone else have a pull from the consent agenda they want to discuss? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right, Dustin?
Yes, sir. Judge, if we could go to item N1, this is discussion and or action on matters regarding COVID-19.
These case numbers have decreased for the hospitals.
All right, Judge, do you want to accept that for recording purposes?
Yes, is there a motion to accept that report for recording purposes?
So moves.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
All right, if we could go to item N10, presentation from Texas State Technical College regarding Central Texas Industrial Training Center.
There's a mismatch between the number of jobs that are available and the number of people that are available to fill those positions.
Move to accept for recording purposes. Second.
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
All right, if we could go to item N6, that's the Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce Monthly Economic Development Report for January 2022.
Know that we have had one project announcement for this first quarter, and that was in McGregor with Messer.
All right, if there's no questions, there a motion to approve the chamber report for recording purposes?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
All right, we can go back up to item F, budget and budget amendments. F1's regarding the FY22 budget. Francis?
FY22 budget amendments, starting with F1A.
Is there a motion to approve F1D through F1I?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Under item G, bids, RFPs, RFQs, G1 is authorization of recommendations. G1A regarding bid 22-004, aggregate surface treatment for delivery and pickup.
All right, what's the pleasure on items G1A?
Motion to approve the purchasing director's recommendations on the bids.
Second.
We have a motion, second, any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right,
All right, item G1B regarding bid 22-005, asphalt emulsions for delivery and pickup.
not what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve the recommendation of the purchasing director.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. I'd like to go to item L1. We have Shane Turner and Fiona Bond here. It's regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Physical Recovery Fund American Rescue Plan Act, discussion or action regarding the eligible expenses and our funding guidelines, reporting requirements, and funding request.
So I'm Fiona Bond, Executive Director of Creative Waco, and of course this is Shane Turner, owner and operator of the Hippodrome.
All right, so we will recess until 1 o'clock tomorrow. So it's 11. All right, good morning. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, February 25th, 2022 at 3:10 p.m.
Thank you. And if anyone has a public comment, they can come forward now from the audience. Yes, sir.
My name is Shannon Caraway. I'm Vice President for Business Development for a company called Solar Prime. Currently, we're trying to develop another 300 megawatt solar farm and 300 megawatt battery energy storage project here in McLennan County. And it's out north of Trading House Creek Reservoir, that area there. We're preparing to submit a proposal to this body soon for a county tax abatement for the project, and just wanted to stop by ahead of time, introduce ourselves, and tell you what we're doing.
All right, good morning, everyone. All right, let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, May 26, 2022 at 3:15 p.m.
Thank you. All right, let's stand briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have the pledge to the flag.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, this time it's open for any public comments. Reagan, do we have anybody call in, anyone to call in? Okay. And is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak to the court on business matters? All right. If not, we'll go to under items D, under proclamations and resolutions. Under D1 is a resolution in loving memory of Mr. Olin Hamilton. Mr. Miller?
Good morning. And once again, I would like to thank the court for allowing the presentation of a resolution of bereavement. Many may know Mr. Hamilton. He's extremely special to McLennan County. He's one of two residents that we have lost this month that were just shy of their 103rd birthday. Mm-hmm. He would have been 103 in December. He lived in the Riesel community, and he's one of our last World War II veterans. He called me when when COVID-19 first surfaced, and he said, I want to make sure I get that vaccine. And I said, well, I tell you what, Mr. Hamilton, I'm gonna make sure you get that vaccine. And so it wasn't related to COVID. He just went to sleep and decided he was ready to pass on. And so I presented this at his services on last Friday, and this morning I'm just asking for the ratification of the resolution.
All right.
Okay, and that's in the form of a motion.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Thank you. All right, Dustin?
Yes, sir. Judge, if we can go to item G2B, Waco McLennan County Library, discussion and/or action regarding funding allocation. I'd like to call on Ryan Holt, Essie Day, and Nicholas Sarpy.
All right, they are in court with us, so they're coming up to the presentation area.
What was the agenda item?
G2B.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all for having us today. Anytime I get to talk about the library, I'm so happy. My name is Essie Day, and I have the great honor of being the director of the Waco McLennan County Library. So we come before you today to just talk about some of the issues facing the library in regards to the funding. And so as you can see, we are the Waco McLennan County Library, and we have 4 locations to serve you. Mm-hmm. We currently have a memorandum of agreement with you all, with the county and the city. It was adopted in October 3rd of 1978, so it's quite outdated. We have to provide services and programs to county residents according to the level of funding provided by the county. There are 3 levels of funding, and we currently operate under the first level, which we have since 1978, and that equates to 1/6 of our budget being provided by the county. As you can see, the MOA was written before e-resources were invented. E-books and e-audiobooks are the most expensive format, and the most financially challenging due to the current business model. And over the last, I would say, 6 years, the ebooks have increased over 219%. So they are very well loved by everybody in the city and county. So we broke it down by circulation to show you the trends in the 3 years. Due to COVID, we did have a decrease in service, but 2018-19 fiscal year was one of our best years ever in the history of the library. So we have our physical circulation, which are the items that you check out inside the library, and we increased the size and scope of our collection dramatically. We now offer new formats such as STEAM kits, sensory backpacks, literacy kits. So it's not just books anymore. You know, we do a lot more. Our digital circulation, that would be our ebooks, our e-audiobooks, our e-magazines, and our databases. And that is where we have seen the most increase, especially with county residents. As you can imagine, it's so easy now. If you live out in the county, you can easily log on to our website with the library card and download any ebook or e-audiobook. So we wanted to show you also the combined circulation with the Waco citizens and the McLennan County residents. And overall, the McLennan County residents are checking out about 33.73% of our material. That's just circulation. That doesn't include all of the other resources, such as the use of our meeting rooms, the use of our study rooms, our programs. We have anywhere between 80 to 100 programs offered monthly, and county residents, of course, are welcome, and we love when they come to visit us. But that is, taking some resources for us to maintain. Now, this is a slide that shows the patrons, the number of patrons who are utilizing the library, who have library cards. So the city of Waco, and then we also broke it down by other cities and unincorporated cities. So this slide shows a 3-year budget performance. And so 2019, 2020, and 2021, what our net library budget was, what the county's contribution was, and the net library costs, and then the difference between the budget and the actual. We did have some savings, you'll see, in the first year or so, and that's due to several categories. We had some salary savings. Library staff is always looking for ways to save money, and we were able to renegotiate some contracts that we had with some of our vendors, which allowed us to save some money from those contracts. Here is the current county contributions. So our total operating expenses were $4,403,000. We add in the charges from other city departments, like HR, legal, facilities. So our total library budget was $6,023,000. Then we also deduct the fees collected. We charge for overdues, lost items. We also get some money through E-rate and interlibrary loan reimbursement. And so the county's contribution under the current contract is $981,000. We are proposing that we change the contract and or rewrite the contract totally, since it's from 1978, and base the county's contribution on circulation, because that more accurately reflects how the county residents are actually using your library. And so to do so, the contribution would be $2,039,000. However, next slide. The city did want to come up with some alternative scenarios. We understand that that's a really big ask the first year, so there's a step-in process that we would be happy to discuss with you. So the first scenario would be year 1. It would increase to 1.177. Second year, 25%. Third year, the full amount based on the circulation. These are some really fun pictures I wanted to show you, because we have a mobile library we call the Pop-Up Library, and we do take it out into the county Once a week, we go to Peplow Park in Robinson. We also go to the Beverly Hills, City Hall. Yes,
City
that's
Hall.
it. Thank you. I couldn't think. The City Hall. We've also been to several schools out in the county, Mart, Moody. We've gotten asks to go to more places, but we just don't have the resources to do so. And our pop-up library goes to all of the events in the city and the county as often and as frequently as they can. Thank you.
Can you go back to that proposed future budget calculation? Yeah, thank you, thank you. And then in regards to vendors, I would assume, those are people who produce books as well as audio, video, all those audio books, those things. as well.
Yes, our vendors. We have the ebook vendor, we have the materials vendor. We have contracts with different vendors such as the company who operates our self-checkout machines, our integrated library system, our new computer system that we use.
Okay. And I guess I'm just wondering if the cost per content has gone up, or is it expanding the amount of content that you have that's caused it to go up, or both?
Yeah, I would say both. Yes. Our ebook vendor especially, the business model is such that you can only check out the book 26 times until we have to get a lease for another copy. And so if you buy a physical book and we put it on the shelf, of course it can have anywhere to 100 checkouts and we can keep it for several years. But the ebook vendors, the way that they do it is you can only check it out either 26 times or a time limit, 1 year or 2 years. And all of the big house publishing companies have different rules about how long you can check an item out and how often you can check it out. So it makes ordering the material very challenging because we never know what vendor's going to allow us. So if you have your favorite author, for example, if you love James Patterson, if that book checks out 26 times, we may have to go buy another license for it, and we don't technically own it, we're just leasing it, and they're the most expensive. So I can get a hardcover book for about $15 to $25, but the ebooks go anywhere from $65 to over $100.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a bad business model, Judge, but it's the one that we're stuck with.
Right. And then the only other thing is go back one slide, please. Okay, charges from other departments. So give us some examples about what that would be. So it'd be covering some of the cost of other departments where the city supports the library.
Yes,
So
sir.
give us some examples.
The HR department, the legal department, facilities, because of the buildings, they come over and do all of our maintenance. They provide our cleaning services.
Garage?
The garage, yes, because they maintain our 2 vans.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And finance. Got finance.
Kind of important one right there.
Yes, sir.
Question for you. You mentioned the communities you're going to, Robinson, I think you said Riesel. Are these communities supporting you financially?
Not all, no, sir.
We cover those through our,
Well, we do it twice. We do it through this, and then we give them additional funds.
Well, there's only, excuse me, sir, there's 5 libraries that we also provide a service to under the contract. And so we take material to Moody, Mart, McGregor, West, and Hewitt Library. And so anybody in the county can go to that library and say, I saw a book that Waco Library has, and the librarian will order it from us. And then we have a weekly delivery service where we pull the book off our shelf, put it in a van, and they drive it to those libraries. And then that librarian calls the person and says, hey, your book is here to come pick up.
Okay, but my point being is we're funding 5 of those libraries, correct? All 5 of those?
All of them, yeah.
There's 5.
And we're funding you guys, so we're kind of getting hit from both sides of the equation here. Now, granted, we're not, it's a minimal amount that we're funding the others, but I would like to see them. When we just look at, if you don't live in the city of Waco, you're automatically assumed to be a county person when you've got
That's one of the reasons.
other municipalities that,
you go back to the
Ask him
map?
to go back to the map.
We asked our IT department to delve into, after the judge and Dustin asked us to articulate which of the patrons occurred in the unincorporated areas and which ones occurred in incorporated areas that are out in the county. So you can see the goldenrod color there are all the other incorporated cities, and the red are out in the unincorporated areas, so that y'all could get a feel for
Roughly
where-
7,000 in the unincorporated.
So about half of the, 50% of your, I can't do the math, but 20,000, you've got about 21,000 in the, outside of Waco.
Yes, sir. About 30% of the total.
And so when you say patrons, is that somebody who's getting a card?
Yes, sir.
Okay, a membership?
Yes,
or
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And we are sensitive to the cost of the library to people who don't live in McLennan County. Just recently, we raised the out-of-county card to $100, is that right?
Yes, sir.
To $100. So it is a significant cost. We still have a number of patrons from around the state because we do participate in the
Genealogy?
interlibrary
Yes.
loan
Yes, that's right.
program. And so if you're in a library in Huntsville, and we can share, but we also get access, all of our patrons get access to those libraries as well through that program. But we did up that cost to the out-of-county residents. because
So
we're
as an
sensitive.
example, if you're in a library in Huntsville and they won't let you out to come check out a book,
So do y'all mail those books or?
We participate
Yes.
in the Texas State Library and Archives delivery system, so there is a courier who comes once a week.
Oh, okay.
And he brings books that our residents have requested and takes the stuff that other people want of ours. And there is a fee for that. There's a $1 fee for that.
I remember growing up how excited I was when I got my first library card. And so when you said that with your library card, you can check out that electronic book.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's no fee for the book. I just have to get a library card.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how long can I keep that book?
The ebook,
Uh-huh.
anywhere from 12, I believe it's 12 days to 21 days.
Okay. How many times can I check out that same book?
If it's not on hold for anybody, up to 2 times.
Okay.
So is that an app?
Yes, you would download the Cloud Library app and you can access our library. We also are in a consortium with about 38 other Texas libraries. It's called Cloud Link through Cloud Library. And that means we have access to all of their material and they have access to ours. And we do the reports, quarterly, and it shows that our patrons are actually checking out more of their other libraries' books than the other way around. And so I feel like we're getting a really good deal because it's only $1,000 a year to participate. And that allows all of McLennan County residents to have access to over 140,000 books and audiobooks. And they're the most popular format that we have right now. And especially with COVID, the numbers just skyrocketed during COVID.
Well, it seems like it's kind of expensive though.
It is, but in the last 5 years, it increased 218%, the usage of those items.
I can see that because we watch more movies and we read more books.
Yes, ma'am.
And you make it really easy for us to read a book.
Thank you, we try to.
The transition to ebooks, more or less labor intensive for y'all?
It's less labor intensive for us.
So as the trend goes, then it will require, if we go to more and more ebooks, we use less personnel to handle it?
I wouldn't say that necessarily because people still come into the libraries. Our physical circulation has also increased. Right before COVID, 2018-19, we had the best year ever in terms of participation with circulation, program attendance, summer reading clubs. We were breaking all records, and then COVID hit, and I really don't want to share those numbers with you because
No, I
COVID
understand.
numbers are
It
low.
affected everybody. It affected
Yes,
everybody.
yes, sir.
But
numbers wise, the unincorporated areas make up about 12% total of the total library patrons. Is that what you're looking at?
That's what it looks like. The combined unincorporated and county areas come up to about 30%.
Well, if you, that's correct. Unincorporated and other cities is,
Yes,
I think
sir.
I figured somewhere around 34%. And there's about 62,600 and some odd total patrons.
Yes, sir.
And the unincorporated are about 12% of that number.
Yes, sir. And Ezzy's group does a really good job about, even though the electronic model is challenging due to the pricing scheme that the vendors have, Ezzy's group really does a good job of trying to reduce other costs. Just recently, the integrated library system, their computer system that manages all internal computerized processes, they found a solution that is about half the cost of the one that they're coming out of. And so we're looking for a pretty significant reduction in cost there. That was one of their largest expenditures. So they do a great job of looking for technology that can help reduce costs, just because they're sensitive to that pricing model that those vendors are using. It's certainly not ideal, but it is what we're dealt with.
I guess another,
Go ahead.
I guess another question I would have would be your marketing strategy out in the rural areas, especially with, school about to let out. And you say you partner with those smaller libraries out in the rural areas. How are families getting the information, especially about your ebook program?
Yeah. Well, we have a very robust website, and we have 4 social media channels that we advertise on. And I think that in partnership with the City of Waco, their municipal communications department, they recently changed the name to communications, they do a great job helping us also. And so I think social media is probably the largest way that we get that information out there.
Well, I feel so inept because I had not heard about it until this morning. And I try to stay on top of things.
Oh, no.
And so I hadn't heard about it until this morning, but that I'm not the barometer that we need to use. But I'm just saying, because especially me, I'm just an advocate of books and reading. And like I said, especially with us letting out for the summer, I think maybe we just don't know that that's out there. And as crazy as that might seem to you who've been working in this program and really trying to get that word out, did y'all know about the ebook program?
Nope.
Oh, okay, good. I thought everybody was going to say, yeah, we did.
Well, we'll make note to work with our comms and marketing department and the library group to try to get that word out more through maybe the schools and other, we'll seek out other channels to try to make that a more robust outreach.
Because it's just wonderful. That's all I had.
Under our existing MOU, when does it mature? Or
I'm sorry, Judge, I didn't hear you.
I said, under the current MOU, when does it mature? When does it?
I believe it's a perpetual agreement.
Yes.
It continues on unless one of the groups decides to notify the other that we
Okay.
wanted to renegotiate it.
Oh, okay.
Since 1978.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, opt-in deadline.
So I thought we took action every year. I guess just during budget, we
Yes.
allocated
Right. It's a
budget.
renewal.
Approving the change in the budget.
Can you go back to the funding
You're right, though. There's an opt-in
levels?
deadline. I think you're right. About maybe Reagan can tell us.
Next one.
Okay, is it July or something?
That one.
And I know that we showed you all the map of the patrons and where they live, but I don't know if this helps put it in any kind of perspective, but the McLennan County residents make up 24.8% of our total card holders. And they're using about 33% of the material.
Okay.
So this was just an example of something we could talk about as a way so that the increase doesn't hit the county budget quite so significantly in a single year. It's just a proposal and certainly something we could delve into.
Okay.
Do y'all have any intentions of approaching other communities that are heavy users of your library and asking for assistance?
We don't at this time.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Well, we will take this under advisement. We're right at the lip of the cup of budgeting, and so it's an appropriate time to talk about it, so.
Thank y'all for your time.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, and in regards to G2, is there a motion to defer?
So move.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass. All right, Dustin.
All right, Judge, I did not see Craig Lemon in court or on Zoom. So he was our other, I'm just double checking on Zoom. So we'll hold the Robinson item for right now in case
Okay.
he does come. So we can move to item G, budget amendments under G1s regarding the FY22 budget. G1A is specialty court. Francis?
Thank you. So G1A, this is for specialty court. This is general fund. The specialty court department's requesting to purchase furniture and equipment for the new space that they'll be relocating to. And they're unable to take, of course, a lot of their furniture that needs to stay in the place that it is currently. So there's an amount there, $18,694, that is going to be needed in that line. They did have some money in professional development, and then they're asking for the remainder to come from contingencies. G1B, this is in the permanent improvement fund. The request is to increase the line item for office modifications at the JP4 building in McGregor. And this is to accommodate the new clerk position that was approved, so it will give them more space for that position. Any questions?
Okay, any questions on those? If not, what's the pleasure of the court on G1A and G1B?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
And G2 is regarding the FY23 budget, and G2A was a discussion on matters relative to the FY23 budget. And Judge and Court, would y'all like to hold this till the end of the meeting?
Yes, I asked Francis if she wouldn't mind holding that.
All right, moving on to item H, grants and grant proposals. H1s regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, the American Rescue Plan Act. We just have this on the agenda in case the court would like to discuss anything. We don't have any updates for today.
Okay.
If not, moving on to H2 regarding the FY22 BJA Veterans Treatment Court Discretionary Grant Program, ratification of grant application submission and recording of fiscal agent memorandum of understanding. I'd like to call on Amy Lowry.
Morning, Amy.
Good morning, Judge. Trying to start my video. There it comes. We are requesting the Commissioners Court to retroactively approve a grant that we wrote for the BJA, Bureau of Justice Administration, for the Veterans Treatment Court in the amount of $750,000 for 48 months that would support the Veterans Treatment Court.
All right, any questions on that? All right, what's the pleasure of the court? Move to approve.
Second?
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Under item I1 is authorization of statement of work agreement with Civic Plus for an HR webpage banner. Anna?
Thank you, Dustin. So I'm requesting the ability to purchase a one-time update from Civic Plus in order to update our banner over our HR webpage. We're currently updating it to just make it more attractive to applicants. And so one of those pieces of our update is updating the banner above just our HR page. It won't affect any other images across our county website. It is just for our HR page, and it's a one-time fee of $263. There's no reoccurring fee. And again, it's just to help us update our HR webpage to make it more attractive to.
Okay, any
applicants.
questions? All right, is there a motion to approve an increase or a expenditure of $263?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass.
Thank you.
I2 is authorization of software license agreement with Travis County for the iJury program for district clerk's office. Many years ago, Travis County developed an online jury management software. This is something that our judges and district clerk have wanted for some time. Travis County, we can have the ability to use a license of this program for a sum of $10 a year. It will take some modifications that will likely be done by EDOC, but we're this afternoon, we were supposed to have a demo with Travis County for EDOC and IT to set in, but we're going to continue. That meeting got canceled, but our IT team and EDOC are going to continue to work on this, but we think it would be prudent to go ahead and get this agreement in place. Our district judges would like this fast tracked and hopefully to have on board by the time our new district court comes online this fall.
Okay, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve I2?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass.
I3A and B are the two items for the tax increment reinvestment zone number 2 in Robinson. So Judge, if we can just hold those for now in case Craig comes to court.
Okay.
I4 is regarding the software as a service agreement with Tyler Technologies, authorization of amendment. This is a records management system for the county clerk. Back in March, we approved this software. Annual fee will remain the same. This just amends the term of the agreement. So we just need to approve this amendment.
Thank you. All right, what's the pleasure of the court on I4?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Pass.
I5, status update on McLennan County Cybersecurity Training Completeness Report as mandated by Texas House Bill 3834. And Lisa?
Thank you, Dustin. This memo is coming before court as a status update regarding our completeness of training that is required annually through House Bill 3834. As of this morning, we still have 11 staff members, employees that have not yet completed this training. So I wanted to bring that to court. We have until June 14th to get those completed before our team is required to report that to the state.
And the consequences of not doing it?
Yes, sir. So the consequences of this would be relative to grant eligibility for our county and all of the other local governments within our county lines. They would no longer be eligible, I believe, for the current year, maybe 2 years actually, and any current grants, I believe we would have to reimburse those expenses.
Okay. All right. And Dustin, if you don't mind, prepare a communication from our office to those individuals and asking them to try to get that done and point out the consequences of not getting it done.
Yes, sir, will do.
All right.
Weren't we at 100% last year, Lisa?
Yes, through some last minute efforts on mine and Brandon's part, we were compelled to make a lot of direct phone calls. When the emails are not responded to, the system also gives automatic reminders. We went to great effort to track these individuals down to get those commitments, to get that training. So we're kind of at that point, we're about 2 weeks out, so we can attempt to make those efforts again, but I definitely would much appreciate the county judge's office assisting us with the direct communication.
What's the deadline?
We have to report, I think, the morning of June 15th, so all training must be completed by midnight on June 14th.
I'd certainly say by June 8th, if there's, I wouldn't mind seeing names of people who haven't completed their departments or offices.
I actually have that list today. If
I
the
don't need
court
it
would
to-
like, we
I don't
could
need
go
it
into
today.
the,
I don't need
Okay.
it today, but 1 week out, if it's still not finished, we certainly like to see it.
yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a question about the sentence in your memo, the third paragraph, first sentence. The DIR reporting site allows for a recording of 90% complete compliance or a percentage of completeness reached within given 10-point ranges.
Yes.
So 90% makes us compliant, is that correct?
No, sir. It's, Brandon does that reporting for me. It's my understanding that, you have to report in increments of 10. So if we are not yet at 100%, we would have to report in the, I guess, the 90th percentile, but no, we would not be compliant.
Okay.
And then it allows a
So
comment
100%
area.
is compliant?
Yes, that is the only
100%.
measure of compliance is 100%.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve that report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
That motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we can move back to the top for the department head reports under item E, acceptance of county department head staff departmental reports. E1 is juvenile probation, monthly activity reports, March through April 2022. Call on Colin Coker.
Thank you, Dustin. Commissioner's Court, thank you. For this year to date, we've had a total of 238 referrals. We have a total of 151 juveniles currently on probation, 61 on deferred prosecution, 166 on conditions of temporary release. For our detention facility, we began with 17 juveniles, and we had an additional 198 that have been brought to us so far. We've released so far a total of 188 juveniles. That gives us an average daily detention population of 20 and an average length of stay of about 12 days. This is getting back to some of our pre-pandemic numbers. We have a total number of, or an average of 19 juveniles on psychotropic medication. Statewide, the state's reporting about a 33% increase in violent felonies. Again, this is statewide, and we're seeing that here in McLennan County as well. It's definitely something that has impacted us, impacted the state as well. We're still having to wait 2 to 4 months before those juveniles that are committed to Texas Juvenile Justice Department Institutional Division before they're actually admitted into that, which again is causing our detention numbers to spike somewhat. Again, these are statewide trends, and we'll continue to monitor those.
All right, any?
Yeah, that's all I had. I'd be more than welcome to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
No question, but just a comment, and I appreciate the opportunity to come out and visit with y'all. And they do a great job of sitting down
Thank you,
and taking you on tour and explaining what goes on out there and obstacles that they face. And I appreciate it very much. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
a
you
good
very much.
point, Commissioner. Anyone that has not been out there on a tour, I'm sure Mr. Coker would schedule that at appropriate
Yes, sir.
time. So, thank you. All right, is there a motion to approve that report for recording purposes?
So moved. Second.
Have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
E2, engineering, monthly
Justin.
activity report. Yes, sir.
I see that Mr. Lemon's on. If we want to go to
All
that.
right. Yes, sir. Let me
item.
drop down.
That's item I3A. Good morning, Mr. City Manager.
Good morning.
How are you today?
running behind, apparently. Too many meetings on my schedule today, and this one just slipped completely by. I apologize for that.
No problem. All right, Dustin, you want to frame it up?
Yes, sir. So this is an authorization of agreement to participate in tax increment reinvestment zone number 2 with the city of Robinson. So Craig, would you like to kind of give an overview of this to the court?
Yes. So previously I was at the meeting and made a presentation about our TERS number 2 that we created in December of 2021 that covered an area, the southern part of town from Peploe Drive south to a couple of miles south of Moonlight, and then took in part of Moonlight, captures all the commercial properties along the highway. And the TERS was created to spur development along that area. We have about 410 acres in that TERS, and yet it currently only has a total appraised value of about $18 million. And so we feel like there's a lot of opportunity for development there. We also have a long-term vision of creating a town center here in the area around City Hall. We own 2 full blocks of property here, plus there's some other properties around we're looking at trying to acquire in the future and kind of create a downtown Robinson for the future. So we created the TERS, and we're requesting the county to participate. And this agreement mirrors the TERS 1 agreement, and it is for a period of 35 years. And I did not include an amount, a percentage in the TERS. We are participating at 70%, and in TERS number 1, the county participated at 70%. We requested you consider that, but we do understand if that percentage is a little too high and you need to do something lower. But we would appreciate if the county would participate. It would allow both of us in the long term to benefit from the redevelopment of these properties and help us move Robinson forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the agreement.
Okay, any questions? We have done, approved several TERS over the last several years, and initially, it doesn't affect us until the growth happens, and then we, for lack of a better term, take a little bit of a haircut to allow the area to reinvest that revenue that we would have received back in to make more revenue grow. And we did, you're correct, we did approve 70% on the other. So any thoughts or discussion on those areas?
Craig, with the length of the TERS, would y'all be comfortable, because it's such a long TERS, would y'all be comfortable with a lesser amount somewhere, 50% or something, or would that cripple you too much?
I don't think it would cripple us. The opportunity, of course, is the higher the percentage, the more money that's available. The county's portion does solely go into infrastructure and things like that. The county funds can't go towards economic development incentives. So it's one of those that while it does cost each of us a percentage of the future taxes, David Pettit, who does this a lot, he likes to use the comment of, getting 30 or 50% of something is better than getting 100% of nothing. And without the infrastructure improvements and things that need to go with a project like this, of course, the question is, will these areas redevelop? So, I think anything helps us, the more the better. But like I said, we do understand that the county has other considerations that they have to make. And we would be pleased at any level of participation by the county.
Appreciate that.
I understand, all right, it's a good point to bring out that the county's portion does go to infrastructure. And without infrastructure out in front, it's hard to, it's harder for development to happen because you rely on the prospect to pay for those, which makes you maybe not as competitive with other communities.
What range, not being here for all the tours that have been created and not being privy to necessarily that information, I know I could get it. What range of participation has the county historically agreed to participate in from?
I would say the lowest, but Dustin, I don't know if you've got that answer, but the lowest would be at 70.
There might have been one where we were at 60 at Judge, one of the Lorenas, but I am not. I'll see if I can find it really quick.
So what are we participating in the TERS for with the city of Waco? It's 70%, isn't it?
Yes, our portion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the issue is that this is the second TERS, and how many different TERS are you going to have in one area? And if they're all, at some point, you're losing a lot of tax dollars.
Well, aren't we participating in more than one TERS already in some areas?
Well, City of Waco, for sure.
There's 4 of them.
City of Waco, we're participating in different things like the TIF.
Gregor?
But there's still increments where we're giving up taxes.
If the development happens.
If it develops, yeah, future development.
And this is all commercial areas. Is this all zoned commercial property?
The majority of it is. There are a couple of areas that are new residential developments that are targeted. I think one of them, the
one
infrastructure is
off
being
Moonlight,
done, and
that Moonlight. Yeah.
That Moonlight.
Yeah, the one off Moonlight is still in the planning phases. There is one south of Moonlight on the west side there, where it kind of goes back off the road a bit of ways. The frontage is commercial and the back is residential.
I had a question.
That is one thing that counsels for maybe an increase is the fact that it's already got a substantial commercial footprint. And in some places, we're going into ag land and stuff like that.
All right, Commissioner Miller's got a question.
While, when they create those zones, the revenue that we're allowing to go into that turf, where is that held while they're waiting on that development?
It's included in the revenue we get, the county gets, and then we issue it out to those other entities twice a year in August and February.
So if we allocate it to go to that TERS while we're waiting on development, does that city have it or does the county have it?
The city will have it at the end of that 6 months. So we don't sit on it and await any, instruction on what they're doing with it. It just is theirs from the moment it's collected. It's just the way that the tax office processes.
And they have a
this.
requirement on what they can use it on.
Okay, so they hold that money until they get development.
Yeah, and it goes through the audit process.
Okay.
And they can also borrow against that also too.
They can leverage it for bonding. So, you're right.
So while we're waiting on development, we can't do anything with it, right? Because we've given it to them?
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
Well, and I would add there, we do keep it, it is required to be kept separately in separate accounts. And we do have a TERS board that does have county representation on it right now. Commissioner Smith serves on our TERS board #1. And so before any funds can be expended, the TERS board does have to make the determination of where those funds are going to go and vote to approve those.
And I guess my only concern, because I'm a supporter of rural development, my only concern is kind of piggybacking what Mike Dixon said, and that is that we have revenue that we can't utilize, but maybe there's nothing being done with it, but we can't utilize. What I mean by that is that we put it over here, and then we can't do anything with it, and it's just kind of in abeyance. So how many projects do we do like that, or how many approvals do we do like that? That would be my only concern.
In that 6 months while we're holding that funding, is it in an interest-bearing account?
Yes, it's
So
just
we
like
are
all
earning
of our other
interest on it? Okay.
Before this year, just in case you're interested, before this year, those funds would actually go directly to the entities. That money never came to our bank account. But just for some procedural changes were made. And so now it's going directly to entities that would have been receiving it, and then we are dispersing that out with the help of the tax office.
Craig, was there any projections done on what that would generate over a period of time?
Yes, there were. Let me pull that up real quick.
And we may have it in our package, but,
And I have a quick legal question. These can be dissolved also too, right? I mean, if the, in less than the term?
Yes, yeah, they can be dissolved. They can also be extended,
Right.
depending on how they're going. Also, this particular TERS only captures the real property portion of the property tax. It does not capture personal property tax.
right.
Big, that's what I was gonna.
So,
And that's the.
But it's
that's
the dissolution or the getting out of it, it's not as easy. You just don't have a 30-day out or something like that. It has to be for some sort of violation of the contracts and the way the money's spent.
Okay.
and I'd also add that these take time to happen. They kind of build on themselves as you get development. So we created TERS number 1 in 2019. And I think the first year we brought in about $315. And this fiscal year, which is our second year of collecting revenue, we're slated, and that's the city and the county portions together. We're projected to bring in about $32,000. So initially, there's not a lot of revenue there to do much with. As more development happens in those areas, then they create more value within their areas. And so the TERS itself ends up funding its infrastructure. So you're not going on the other taxpayers in your city to pick that up, but it typically takes some time. It's not something that you come out and immediately you see this big increase. It kind of builds on itself, and usually the first 5 years or so, it's very, very slow going, and then you start getting a couple of projects, and then it'll start picking up some momentum there, and that's when the opportunity comes to really make the investments you need in infrastructure and things like that to keep that rolling and bring more in.
We own, like, for instance, McGregor, but they had a project already ready to go. So it's gonna start generating some positive income a little quicker, but still it was 5 years before a significant amount was built up. And then from 5 to 10, it starts taking off.
But again, has no impact on personal property.
Personal
or
property,
tax,
so if
or
a
sales
company,
tax.
if we have the infrastructure in there and the company comes in, it gives them, it allows the taxing on the real property to be accumulated, but the personal property still at 100%. Unless we go in and negotiate to bring a company in and we negotiate, it's a separate negotiation on personal property. And I know.
Do we have any that include real and personal, or are we pretty much just?
Yeah, we've got several that, we have a abatement schedule separately.
For the
on the
personal.
two, right. So.
Yeah, with the school districts not being able to participate anymore, it makes the revenues.
On WISD.
Well, all ISDs, Robinson ISD, makes the revenues quite a bit smaller.
Yeah.
I would assume, so.
Judge, if it's appropriate, I'd like to make a motion, at least put it out on the table.
All right.
My motion would be that this court approve the TERS 2 as presented by the city of Robinson, and our participation rate be at 70%.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion?
I just have one, I just hadn't, I'm not ready today to say yes, but I'm not saying no to it. I guess before I feel comfortable deallocating a tax source, I would really like to see our kind of tax footprint going into the budget session. I understand what the city manager's saying, and I'm not against the creation of it. Maybe if it was the first one they were creating, I wouldn't have this unreadiness, but I would like to see what our tax situation looks like before we deallocate out some tax revenue, because I know we're going into a budget work session. So I'm not gonna vote against it, but I'm not gonna vote for it. I would just need more information. Today just kind of hit me cold.
Any other questions or comments? All right, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Abstain.
Judge Felton,
I understand what Commissioner Miller's saying, although it's, because as stated, these TERS initially don't generate anything anyway, so it's not gonna affect our budget. And so I would vote for.
I just don't have the figures. I just don't know.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
All right, pass. Thank you. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
Under I3B, this is authorization of appointment to the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 2 Board, and per the agreement with the city for participation in TERS Number 2, the board membership shall include one county representative.
I move that Commissioner Smith serve in that capacity.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. Call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Abstain.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Okay.
All right, moving back up to item E2, engineering monthly activity reports, March through May 2022. Zane?
Yes, sir.
Morning.
In this past two months, we've successfully completed the $11 million Speakerville Road project. And we have finished up 3 low water crossings and are starting another low water crossing soon. We have a few bridges that are going to be worked on soon. We're still trying to get the repair details worked out. And then lastly, we have a summer intern that will start this week, and hopefully you will get to meet her. I'll be bringing her around to introduce her to the Commissioners Court and other departments. But if you have any questions regarding the quarterly report, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you. I will point out that, excuse me, I got distracted there for a second. I will point out that Zane and myself met, and Commissioner Perry met with Pete Sessions and the mayor of Waco out on Speegleville Bridge, because Speegleville Road's completed, but the bridge still is not, and we feel like it causes a certain amount of hazard risk, the fact that you're choking traffic down to an area. And we think that traffic's going to increase significantly over the next several years because of new school and just the development out there. There's 2 pretty good sized developments there. So we're looking for federal, state, and local funding to finish that project. And they're all on the table right now, from what we can tell. But I appreciate Zane being there and providing information to Congressman Sessions too. All right. Is there a motion to approve Zane's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Zane.
Thank you.
E3, maintenance of equipment monthly activity report, March through April 2022. Michael Graham?
Morning.
Morning.
So, this has been pretty much as usual. On our jail repairs, there's a low number of repairs, so you see 5, but 90 labor hours. What happened in the end of March the Highway 6 jail took a direct lightning strike to the facility somewhere around the B-Wing gym area. And as a result of that, we lost about 40 cameras and some other stuff in the lightning strike. Most of that has been repaired. All the cameras are back repaired. Sadaptic came in and really helped us out with that. Last Thursday, we had a company come in and conduct a assessment and survey. They're preparing a report of the lightning protection system for that facility. It was initially installed in 2006 and kind of fallen in a state of disrepair. And so we're going to get a report together on that, and then we'll come back to the court and present that information on what that looks like. Everything else is pretty standard with radio repairs and projects and other equipment installs and whatnot. We've got an ongoing project over at adult probation that we're working on their camera systems and their intercom systems. And then we got some vehicles coming, one currently in here for precinct 4, and then precinct 1 has a couple of vehicles lined up to come in. The next couple of weeks, lighting put on them. The sign shop has been staying steady. In March, we had 53 signs. In April, they made 71 signs. And then as far as vehicle maintenance and repair, March we did 7 county departments, 125 work orders. In April, we served 6 county departments and 94 work orders. So we're staying very steady in our vehicle maintenance. Tan, the mechanic, stays booked every day. And so we're just going to provide that service there.
Michael, how is all the new building that was constructed in the last couple of years and all the facilities around that working for you?
It's working well. We've really kind of gotten everything situated the way we want it. We're going to be looking in the future at some storage options. There wasn't a lot of storage that was built into the building. But we've got some ideas on how we can maximize some of the space that we have, maybe putting some lofts in and that kind of stuff in the future. But right now, we're okay.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Michael?
Yeah, Michael, the fact that we're not getting new vehicles in like we wanted, and what do we have, maybe 1 out of the 14? Is that correct, or 0 out of 14?
So the new patrol vehicles for the sheriff's office are at the upfitter right now.
They're what?
They are at the vehicle upfitter right now. Dana Safety Supply in Fort Worth is installing emergency equipment on those, and those vehicles are at their lot. I was up there 2 weeks ago, going over some of the equipment with them. The backlog that we're seeing right now is not necessarily the vehicle themselves, but the equipment that is going into the vehicle. There's some delays in getting some of those parts in. They feel pretty confident we'll start having vehicles turn out towards the end of July. And we'll have all the vehicles in by the end of the fiscal year. But it is running tight, and it's running a long time on just getting parts, from the suppliers.
Has there been any negative impact as far as having to keep the other vehicles longer, Michael, maintenance-wise? Are you seeing any issues there because we're having to hold on to them?
Yeah, so we've got a pretty good schedule with the sheriff's office on keeping those vehicles turned over in the fleet. But we are seeing that, we would like to have had some of these vehicles out of the fleet, a few months ago. And issues always come up. We're kind of identifying some different time frames in the vehicle's life cycle through some different methods we're using now to kind of calculate when's the best time to get rid of that vehicle. And we're communicating with the sheriff's office and any other county departments giving service on what those life cycles look like to really maximize the life of the vehicle. Because there becomes a point where you're spending more maintaining it than what you would just to go ahead and replace that vehicle.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve Michael's report for recording purposes?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Michael.
Thank
you. E4, County Veteran Service Office Monthly Activity Reports, January through March 2022. Steve?
Morning, Steve. Good morning, Steve.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to get my old video going. I don't know why it's not. Okay, there we go. Yes, sir. Before we start, I'd like to apologize for the quarterly report. Seems like it's a month behind. I've been on calendar quarters, and I need to get on department head report quarters. And so I kind of was, it was mentioned to me that I need to get back on a more of an up-to-date schedule. So I just wanted to apologize that I've been using calendar quarters, and that's why it's always seeming like it's kind of lagging behind. But we're going to repair that. That'll be
Okay.
on the next report. So, but other than that, we're opening back up. We have had some activity. We are now serving breakfast every Thursday. That's been, we're getting in more veterans, more traffic flow. We are scheduling a meeting with the Waco Police Department commander for community services. We're going to try to help with identifying our veterans in the community that we may can divert them instead of just a quick trip to jail where they are frequent flyers. We're actually trying to get them to acute psych. We're working with the VA also and trying to identify some of these so that we can maybe get them stable, have some other supportive services that the VA offers to keep them out of jail and to maybe get them stabilized. And really just, it's really a medication issue more than anything. It's just a matter of making sure that that they have either some case management or at least some assistance in keeping up with their medication, because once that goes off, we have all kind of issues. The other thing, we are creating with the Central Texas Healthcare Veterans Healthcare System, we are creating a community council. We used to have that, and that's what where the Veterans Hospital used to kind of keep us up on any activity that was going on within the hospital, where we as community members and partners could ask questions and find out a little bit more of what was going on as from at the federal level with the hospital. And then, of course, we did get the Waco, City of Waco Veterans Affairs Community Council, and that was through Josh Boulderwood, which we're very glad about that, because we do feel like that's going to give us a buy-in with Waco and help with the leverage of making sure that the hospital is being utilized properly, as well as any veterans benefit regional office issues that may pop up. And I did attend the justice involvement in Austin with the Baylor Law School and the Baylor Law Clinic. And then, of course, we had the Veterans Day, our Memorial Day services yesterday. And we did a good job of unveiling the two names. I see a picture here with, we had the two names of two veterans who were killed in action that we had when we first started, we did a home of record, and we found out that their unfortunately, home of record was two other places, but come to find out, they were indeed born here, and they had graduated here. They just happened to find a girlfriend somewhere else and ended up going to another state. And so when they were killed in action, they did show a different home of record. So we were really fortunate that we were able to put that on the wall. It was kind of a long-standing hard feelings there between the family and us in regards to putting their names on there. So we were very glad about that. Then, of course, we did feed somewhere in the vicinity of around, I want to say somewhere around 125 families and veterans and their families yesterday. We do that annually. It's a Memorial Day dinner or lunch that we do. And so that was, we were assisted with, or we assisted actually 8564 with the VFW, as well as Veterans One Stop. And so, and then of course, there was a proclamation given from Mr. Ira Walton that we were very glad to have. We were also assisted there with Commissioner Miller, as well as the Veterans One Stop. So we're out and about trying to get going again. And like I said, I do want to apologize for the lag, but and I do want to start getting a little bit more, I guess we've defined with the numbers so that we can also see trends to make sure that we also are reaching the, not just the veteran population, but the surviving spouse population and the aging veterans. And we are still working to try to get the younger veterans to get off their cell phones and come in.
All right.
And I guess
Good luck
that's
on
it.
that. All right, thank you, Steve. Are any questions for Steve? If
I don't
not,
have any
oh, go ahead.
questions, but I would like to say about yesterday's events.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of those pictures, and I guess whenever I put down this career, I could become a photographer, depending on how good y'all thought the pictures were.
Oh.
But
They're in
it was a
color.
wonderful day. It was a wonderful day. Both of the families were there. The Adams family and is it Villanova family for Javier?
Yes, Villanueva, yes, ma'am.
And so it was kind of touching to meet them. We found out yesterday that based on where Mr. Villanova was stationed, that they have renamed that medic facility after him. So I was really glad that his hometown acknowledged him. But Steve and Commander Bethea and Jeffrey, they did a great job. And for all of you all who were not there, y'all missed a really good barbecue.
Okay. Well, thank you, and Commissioner, appreciate you going and attending that, so. All right, are there any other questions or comments for Steve? If not, is there a motion to approve his report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Right, if we could drop down to E11, Mental Health Court Services, Monthly Activity Reports, March, April 2022. Judge Hodges?
Good morning, Judge. You're on mute.
There we go. Sorry. Not a lot to add. It's going real well. You know, we transitioned Mary Allen doing the civil commitments underneath kind of our umbrella. Of course, Mary continues to do a great job. That's going well. No hitches there. In our mental health services, we're having our usual bond docket where we're supervising people who are out on bond with mental health issues. A lot of those folks then get to transition into mental health court. We're still running our mental health court every 2 weeks, and almost every 2 weeks when we staff, we've got new applicants. We do have one change that Tom Needham is the DA or prosecutor representative on our mental health court services staffing, and Tom is leaving the DA's office, so we're get a new prosecutor in, but I don't anticipate that there will be any changes as to how we're operating. So everything's going well. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Okay, any questions for Judge? All right, thank you, Judge. Is there a motion
Thanks.
to approve Judge's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thanks for your help.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right, E5, Purchasing, Monthly Activity Report, April through May 2022. Ken?
I've listed a lot of our standard stuff that we do from month to month, but important things first. I will say I have emailed TJ, and he's going to move that filing cabinet out of your way.
Okay. It's not my way. I just wondered what he was doing here.
Yeah.
This was a new storage for stuff going to auction.
Right. A few things to cover. The main projects we've been working on. First, talk a little bit about Paul Tyson. We met with John Irwin the other day to have a pre-demolition meeting with them. Went over a few things. We've issued a check to AT&T. They have to come out and do a study on what they have around the Tyson Field hence we pay them $500 to do the study, and then for their removal, there'll be another fee charged at a later date. We're waiting to find out what that is, but they weren't going to do the study until we gave them the $500 to initiate the study.
They don't trust us.
We've issued a PO to Encore.
Feelings mutual.
We issued a PO to Encore to remove their stuff. Ironically, they have a contract to have AT&T stuff on their poles, and so they can't remove their stuff until AT&T determines what stuff they need to remove. Thought I'd share that with you. Then also, we've contacted a company to do the asbestos abatement study so we can get the asbestos abatement going. We don't know exactly how much that's going to be. We're going to get a cost estimate, but we may have to do a bid on that to have the asbestos removed.
Where is the asbestos?
It's in the
box.
press box, field houses.
House, and there's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are all built, what, probably in the 50s and 60s?
60s.
Also, too, I think the little golf hut that's over off to the side is a separate deal. We feel like probably it has asbestos in there on the floors, probably. So, just that they've done partial studies, being with WISD, but nothing concerted. So we have to have that all put together to get it all abated.
Because I know schools at one time were required to keep a listing of all asbestos in their facilities. So
Yes.
There should be something somewhere.
I think it's just not put together to do the abatement.
So what is the time frame looking like? We can share with that offline.
I'm not exactly sure yet, because it kind of depends on AT&T removal of the electricity through Encore, and then the asbestos abatement. I think there's some work that can be done, but not full scale.
Sure.
So I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer for that.
No worries.
But we're
It's the
just,
same issue with road construction. You cannot, that's the one area you cannot control, utilities. They get there when they want to.
the towers, Road and Bridge 4 is almost completed. We're still waiting on the generator. I check basically weekly, every other week on the generator, and it's supposed to be here about mid-month, this month. And so the generator's like that last piece to get it finalized. So that's very close to being done. And, we've talked about some of the same issues with the Woodway Tower. And we had a long discussion Friday on the Woodway Tower. Just to first share, Western Tower got that bid through Hot Cog. They are waiting on the metal to be here, and then they'll start erecting the tower. And the tower should be in good time. It shouldn't take very long for that to be erected. Kind of our initial part of that was removing the trees in that area. The trees got removed in a good manner, so literally our part that we're responsible for has been taken care of. Part of the discussion on Friday is location of antennas on the tower, but the other thing is we were talking about possibly moving the generator from the tower at the fairgrounds to Woodway to support that tower. And so there's some discussions about downtime and what's going to happen. When we were doing, when Hot Cog did the bid, they found that they had a little money left over toward the construction of the tower. And so they're looking at buying some of the hardware, antennas and stuff that need to go on that tower, rather than moving some of the old stuff off the tower at the fairgrounds. I'm going to stop calling it the Heart of Texas Tower, because that may be the name we use at Woodway. I don't know. So anyway, and I'm sorry I don't have a good update on what's going on at Precinct 3.
We're waiting on the state.
Waiting on the state. And then kind of lastly, the air purifiers, Highway 6 jail is done, Jack Harwell is done. They have a little glitch at Jack Harwell, Juvenile. There was something that we needed to replace, and so we're kind of holding them up a little bit because we need to, because if they put it in, we were going to have to take it right back out to change something out. And so we're kind of waiting for that to be repaired, and then they'll be able to finish up Juvenile. So,
Okay.
and again, just not asking for, just bringing it up. You know, we had other buildings that were associated with that bid. I don't know if we want to initiate a conversation, if we want to carry on with the air purification systems in the other buildings that we had included. But again, I'm just bringing it up just for y'all's food of thought. So,
Okay.
if you have any questions.
Any questions for Ken? If not, is there a motion to approve his report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed. Thank you, Ken.
E6 is maintenance of buildings quarterly activity report. TJ?
Yes, good morning. So you'll see before you our typical quarterly report. The one thing that I failed to put on here, especially under projects of interest, we're in the process of putting together an amendment for Trading House Lake to do an addition of 6 more picnic locations. So that would include the slab work, the awning cover, the table itself, and the barbecue pit. But in that amendment, we are also going to include the cost to enclose the pavilion for our maintenance shed. So I want to make the court aware that that's coming up. So we'll have that on an agenda in the near future. Other than that, everything is looking pretty typical. Work order numbers are down, which is good to see this time of year, especially when we get in that hot months related to the HVAC systems and things of that nature. Still having a little hard time filling part-time custodial positions, but we do have a lead on some potential college students that are out for the summer that could be willing to help us out. So we're looking forward to hearing more about that in the near future. Other than that, that's about it.
Okay, and I don't know if that would qualify as interns, or, you know, we have a program for interns, and I don't know whether picking up trash is an intern position or not. I'd hate to be an intern with picking up trash.
Right. We did have an intern position open. We were unable to fill it. So I guess the industry in itself, whenever it relates to facilities maintenance and industrial maintenance type positions, are kind of hard to come across right now. I think most of the students coming out of school are going into jobs at the end of May, so it's hard to find an intern for us. But we're still looking at it. HR is constantly helping us out. So,
Yeah. All right. Anything else, TJ?
no, sir.
All right, thanks for the report. Is there any questions for TJ? If not, is there a motion to approve the report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thanks, sir.
E7 is pretrial services, and Judge, I don't see Judge Bain online, and I don't believe he's in court.
Okay, he is not. All right, are there any questions on Judge Bain's report? If you've got it, if there's no questions, would entertain a motion to approve for recording purposes.
I had a question. On the weekend, who's helping him out with magistrate? Is it still those 2 JPs?
As far as I know. And if you want him to come and give a report, we can defer this report.
Oh, no, that was the only question. I was just wondering who was helping him out on weekend.
Okay. All right,
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
E8 is health services monthly activity reports. Heather?
Good morning.
Come on down. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. How are y'all? Nice long weekend.
Yep.
Ended too soon.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining though. Pretty standard report, nothing out of the ordinary this quarter. We're still doing a really great job with our pauper reimbursement initiative, which is really helping us maintain that budget. I know some prior years we had kind of exceeded that, and so this initiative doesn't mean that we're necessarily approving less pauper cases. It just means we're doing a much better job of identifying those reimbursement opportunities and following through with achieving them. So I know when we visited last time, we had talked about creating a direct connection with the Veterans Administration Office in order to support our veteran initiatives with our pauper cases, and we've been successful in doing that.
Good.
We have a veteran representative, Deidre Woonsler. I'm pretty sure I messed her name up, but she's been great. She's really supportive, and so far it's been a great connection we've made for the department. Let's see. As far as ongoing projects, I failed to put in here that we're updating our website, which is a pretty huge project, and IT is supporting us in that effort. And so if you get a chance in the next couple of weeks, check it out. We've done some kind of rearranging, and it should be much easier for the community folks to navigate and find the information that they need. And our cemetery records are on there also. Our numbers are holding pretty steady at about 300 active clients. Budget looks fine. Really, that's it
For a quick, go ahead.
as far as the report.
Commissioner, go ahead.
Oh, okay. On the veteran burials, are we seeing a lot of those? And if we are we still partnering where, although they may be pauper burials, but they're buried at the cemetery and the veteran cemetery?
Yes, ma'am. I don't think we're seeing any more than we have in the past. But we're doing a much better job of just making sure that we're determining their veteran benefits. So if they are eligible to be buried in Killeen, they are.
Okay.
And there's been some scenarios where a person is eligible for a headstone, but not burial in the cemetery. And I couldn't get into the specifics on that, but that's why we just leave it up to the Veterans Administration to let us know what their benefit status is.
Okay. On the reimbursements, give me a scenario in which we ask people to pay us back.
So if you have a decedent that passes away that, say they have adult children and they're not married, so they're either widowed or never married and they have adult children and they have a checking account and it has $700 in it, that still makes them eligible for a pauper cremation because they're not over in resources. But then because the state policy allows us to go after those reimbursements to pay the county back for the cost of the cremation, then we just notify the bank that the person's passed away, and then we give an invoice notice to the funeral home, and then the funeral home invoices the person's bank account, and they pay the funeral home, and the funeral home pays us back.
Okay, so whenever we seek a reimbursement, we want the person that we buried, we're getting
Yes.
their resources.
Yes. Mhm. Now, if, for instance, if it's a married couple and their spouse is still living, we're obviously not going to take money away from a living spouse who might still need those funds to pay a mortgage or utilities or buy groceries or, but it's usually just single adults that do not have a beneficiary. You know, their children are adults or they're unclaimed. There's nobody. There's no family member. There's no children. There's nobody. And some of these people have trust funds as well, not just banking and savings accounts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, and you want to introduce some people?
I do. And so we have a few folks on vacation, and so we're a little short-staffed today. So I just brought a couple, but I'll keep bringing them in, trickling them in.
Yeah.
So if
Great.
you want to step forward.
Welcome.
Yeah, I've asked them to introduce themselves and tell you what they do in our office.
I've seen their picture on your Facebook page.
You kind of caught me off guard for a minute. I've seen post office.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Marinas, and I just started my 18th year with the Indigent Healthcare Program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I am the accounts payable. I do all the jail billing, and it's been a little bit over a year that I started doing poppers.
Okay, thank you.
And Sandra also is one of our ladies in our office that's won several awards for her volunteerism. She
Great.
volunteers really often with the veterans, what is the
with Larry.
That one stops, yeah.
Okay.
Janie?
I'm Janie Gonzalez. I'm the receptionist. I've been with the county 19 years and 9 months. Wow. So it's getting close to retirement, so.
Janie's gonna be leaving us in August.
No, she's way too young.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta watch that retirement.
I told her she could change her mind. I mean, it's not a done deal.
Right?
She's still here, but
Yeah,
she
I'm
is,
still here.
she's ready.
I'm
And
ready.
so she really sets the tone for our office and just creates that warm environment when folks come in, and we're gonna be hard pressed to replace that.
Well, congrats on that.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank y'all.
thanks to both of y'all for your many years of service with
Thank you.
Clinton
ladies.
County and an important
It's
office.
been a pleasure working for the county.
Great, hey, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks,
bringing
Heather.
those, and you'll bring other employees as we go along.
Yep.
So we look forward to that.
You bet.
Y'all have a great day.
You do
Thanks,
the
you
same.
too.
Thank you very
All
much.
right,
Thank you,
thank
guys. Y'all take
All right,
care.
sir.
Along with me?
Is there a motion to approve Heather's
So
report for
moved.
recording
Second.
purposes? Have a motion, second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Thank y'all.
E9 is Information Technology Monthly Activity Report. Lisa?
Yes. For this period, a great deal of our activity was devoted to the employee performance evaluations, budget planning, and then, of course, for IT, this includes the countywide technology assessments. So, a lot of time devoted to that. It did also roll into May in order for us to account for all our offices. Just a few notes in my report this period. I did want to point out in the elections video project, originally our team had to use some temporary workstations configured as servers for that system until the purchase servers could arrive. So we got those mid-February. The IT team was able to get that installed, configured, rebuilt that server environment, made adjustments to some cameras, and got all the video management systems back in place and tested in preparation for our May election. So very proud of the team, getting that really a pretty quick turnaround on that, getting all those processes back in place with that redundancy.
Yeah, good job.
Excuse me.
I say good job on that.
Yes, thank you. Another thing I'd like to point out, late April, the IT department was called upon to assist with our state CGIS audit. This is something that typically occurs every 3 years. So it was time for that again. We had some select IT staff and myself working very closely with the SO's TAC person. We assisted in responding to that questionnaire. It didn't actually get completed until May, but I'll give you a heads up on that. We did pass that audit. So I'm very excited about that, and very grateful to all the SO and IT staff to get that covered. One other area for IT, I would like to note our Cobb's data center. We are very happy to have this location fully operational now. We did get the Isilon moved in on April 6th, got it back online. The VX Rail, the second unit, was also installed in that space. We got the setups underway during April. The final configurations were scheduled for late May, and we were able to get our first successful virtual server migrated in that system. So a lot going on in that space we're very proud of. However, we do have some ongoing issues with the humidity in that space. So I've been working with our facilities director to get the AC contractor back on site to correct the issues that are occurring and get those units performing optimally, in controlling the humidity. We also, I had IT, we purchased a standalone dehumidifier, and so far it looks like that is giving us some improvement as well. So we'll continue to work through that and keep the court updated.
I'm hoping that gets resolved fairly quickly because we have a lot of money invested in that?
Yes, sir, we do. So hopefully we'll get that all taken care of. For our archives office, we also have an intern position that's been filled, and that person started on May 16th. Annual destruction is underway in various offices, and the shredding is back on schedule now that we don't have any interference from construction, around the building or whatnot. So all that's looking really good. We're hoping to see the relocation of the mobile filing unit moved out for the district clerk. So that's just kind of what's been going on in our spaces.
Okay.
Are there any questions for me?
Any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve Lisa's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
E10, Human Resources Monthly Activity Reports. Anna?
This report, I have our typical numbers included for everyone, and just these past 2 months is what I summarized in the report for the court. And these past 2 months mostly have been consumed with our evaluation season, wrapping that up, getting all evaluations in from departments, which has been done, and then compiling the incentive pay list off of those scores, distributing that to officials and department heads. Today is actually the deadline, the last day to complete the incentive pay list and get that submitted to HR. So we've been working on reaching out to officials and department heads, just being sure that that's submitted timely. And then another thing I don't think I highlighted well in the presentation, but typically these few months here that I've reported on is our busier time in supporting officials or department heads that need help in addressing employee relations issues, whether it be discipline needs or performance needs. And so that could be anywhere from writing disciplinary action or written warning, or advising to provide verbal coaching, or even in the form of a performance improvement plan. So typically these last few months we spend supporting officials and supervisors crafting those documents, or advising if verbal coaching is needed, or even training. And so I think I'll try to better illustrate that through a graph or chart displaying that seasonal increase that we experience in these last 2 months. So for instance, our typical 3-month quarter consists of maybe 10 interactions that we count for supporting officials in that way. And in this 2-month season alone, we have 12 that we help, just because that evaluation season prompts that action to be taken by officials. So I'll try to incorporate that in the future to better illustrate that. But I can take any questions from the court on my report.
Okay, any questions? I was looking at that chart on days to fill a position. It's some of those being over 100 days, that's a tough deal. That medical is going to really be tough, because these hospitals and other medical operations are paying bonuses, or signing bonus type deal. So that's makes competition pretty rough. Okay, if there's no other questions, is there a motion to approve Anna's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
That motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
E12, Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service Monthly Activity Reports. Judge, no one will be in court to
Okay.
present these.
Thank you. You have the report. I didn't have any questions when I reviewed it, but if anyone does, we can defer it and get the answers, or if you okay with the report, I would entertain a motion to approve it for recording purposes.
Motion to approve for recording purposes. Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right, and that leaves us with two items. Judge, do you want to go ahead and take a break now? We have the IT director discussion and then the budget discussion with Francis left.
Yes, let's, it is, almost 10:40. Let's take a 10-minute break. Be back here at 10:50.
Recording in progress.
Okay, let's call court back into session. It is 10:50. All right, Dustin.
All right, if we can go to item F, Human Resources Salary Matters. F1's Information Technology, discussion and/or action regarding replacement of director, including but not limited to replacement process, job description changes or updates, salary range for posting, and related matters. I'd like to call on Anna.
Thank you, Dustin. You caught me with the frog in my throat.
No frog eating on the court session.
So, I just need direction from Commissioners Court on whether I can proceed with posting the position publicly. As is with the salary range, I think in previous discussion, it seems like a consensus was made to just use the pay grade range as it exists. So it's a minimum of $78,077 and a maximum of that range being $132,985. And if the court wanted to either further discuss that or just land on that as the details of the posting, we can move forward with it.
Well, it's my understanding that you did some research and came up with that range. And of course, it is a range. It's not, so when you post that, it has that range in it. Is that right? So someone that's interested, they would know the low range from the high range, and then we would negotiate according to their abilities. And
that is correct, sir. It would be the entire range. It wouldn't be just one figure. And it would be just depending on the qualifications of the applicant and if they did want to negotiate their salary. And typically when they submit an application with us, they have a field where they actually state their salary desired. And so that would be something I would highlight to the court once we did start to receive applicants.
right. Other questions in regard to the range and how it was established? And seeing none, then the other question is that you're asking for permission or guidance from the court on when to start posting. And just going back to looking at the amount of days that it's taken to fill positions that a lot of people qualify for, it would tell me that this may take some time. And I would suggest to the court that we do that sooner rather than later. Any other thoughts on that?
Sooner the better.
I think that says it all right there when you look at her report. What was it, 104 days?
Average, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, thoughts about that? Okay, so the motion would need to be that we approve the posting to be, so when would that be posted tomorrow? Or what day would it post?
We could post it tomorrow, sir.
Okay. All right. And you're ready to post it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And when you say post, do you mean advertise in the newspaper? What are you saying, posting?
So it'll be published on our county webpage. And when it's published, that means it's ready to accept applications. So somebody can go in, fill out an application and submit that. And then because our application system auto posts to particular job boards, so it would be visible on places like Indeed. So it would be advertised the same day.
So you don't post to publications like the Waco Trib or something?
No, we don't do that as an automatic thing. If the court would like me to, we can. I would need that direction.
I think in the past it wasn't a bad idea, but that circulation's pretty, I don't know that we gain a lot by that.
I guess it would be dependent upon whether or not we get applications in. If we need to broaden the search or something, so. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so, so how would other, people in IT and other counties, know about this opening?
Other county, so
Yeah.
anybody who was actively searching would be able to find us on the job board, Indeed, which is the most used job board. If they were not actively looking, that would take more of an active reach out from me to put that in front of them, which I can do.
Okay. All right.
And we'll be posting the job at A35, and that's the pay range for A35?
Yes, ma'am. The two figures I gave earlier, that is a minimum and maximum of the A35 pay grade range.
Okay, what's the pleasure, court?
Make a motion to approve the posting as presented by HR Director as of tomorrow.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item G2 regarding the FY23 budget. G2A is discussion and or action regarding matters relative to the FY23 budget, 2022 tax rate, including but not limited to budget policies, priorities, timelines, updates from the county auditor, and or budget work sessions as needed. Francis?
Thank you. All right. So wanted to give you an update and some information on the budget and tax rate moving into the summer. We are nearing the end of our process of gathering all of the budget requests and gathering information from departments. That will be finished up soon, and so probably in a couple weeks, we'll have all of the worksheets available for you to review and look at before we get into July and start discussing them. But like I said, definitely wanted to give you some preliminary information today, updates and tell you where we're at. So I just wanted to start just highlighting, I know we've talked about the calendar already a couple times, but, and this isn't in your book. I know I'll talk about the little booklet later. I'm sorry, I didn't send it or print this out for you. But I just wanted to highlight 5 really important dates upcoming. So July 5th, that is when we will begin our heavy workshops that will continue each week through July. We will not meet that week of July 11th because of the conference that some of you have. But just a reminder, we usually start on Tuesday, depending if there's a regular agenda or not, recessing until Wednesday afternoon if needed, and then meeting on Thursdays, recessing until Friday if needed. So that's how those 3 weeks will go in July. We will have very, very quickly, like probably in a couple days, have a detailed detailed calendar of what July looks like. Our plan is that, I think we did this last year as well. We'll lump similar items and decisions together through the month of July so that it's easier to navigate the information and make decisions all at once. So, trying to have all the nonprofit contracted programs together in a day or two, having personnel together, in a day. So we'll get that out to you here shortly this week. July 25th, that of course is the day that the final certified roll will be received from the appraisal district. That is the deadline date. Then of course, after that roll is received, it triggers the calculation of the final tax rates, most importantly, the no new revenue rate and the voter approval rate. July 28th, that is the date that we will vote on the proposed tax rate, and then also file the proposed budget. Once you vote on that proposed tax rate, there's formal publications that must occur that will alert the public to the rate you have proposed, and then give them instructions on if there is going to be a public hearing where that will take place and when. And then also when the rate will be formally adopted. And then a note there, of course, once you propose the rate, you can decrease it but can't increase from there. And then also filing that proposed budget that day with the county clerk. It's then available on the website and in the county clerk's office for the public to review. August 23rd, that is the date we have scheduled for a public hearing on the tax rate if necessary. So if you propose a rate that does not exceed the no new revenue rate, we don't have that hearing. But that is already on the calendar just in case. And then August 30th is the public hearing on the budget. That is mandatory, no matter what. And then on that same day, adopting the budget and tax rate. I know there's been, for either hearing, there's been mentions, especially the tax rate if necessary. I think y'all thrown out maybe having that after hours even, but we can talk about that in more detail later on. So I just wanted to point out these main highlights, and then just, wanted to point out that we need to remember that there's multiple timelines and laws that all have to align. So we have to keep very strict to our calendar. One day gets off, it kind of throws everything off. So just wanted to point those out. Just to review a few definitions that we throw around a lot. So the no new revenue rate is the rate that, if applied to the same properties that existed in the previous year's roll, would produce the same amount of tax revenue. Now, of course, you're always probably going to have additional revenue generated through the no new revenue rate, and that is because of new properties added. And there's also adjustments for TIF, properties that have previously been under appeal. But that no new revenue rate, it says up there, just enables the public to evaluate that relationship between prior year and current year. The voter approval rate is the maximum rate that is allowable without an election. Due to changes that they made 2 years ago, that voter approval rate is now 3.5% above the no new revenue rate. However, you can roll forward any increases that you don't take for 3 years on a rolling schedule. So a total of 10.5% over 3 years. I know there was a lot of fear, entities had fear when they established these rules, because you lost that 8% safety net for, unexpected needs that may arise. But for our county, I just wanted to point out that you have adopted a rate that was at or below the no new revenue rate for the last 2 years. So you have banked a total of 7.24% of unused increment rate that is rolled into your voter approval rate. So, and then again, just unused increment rate, that definition being the 3-year rolling sum of the difference between adopted and voter approval.
So you have 3 years, you go back 3 years, and if you're banking, if you are banking, then after you get past that first 3-year time, then the last one rolls off and the next one comes on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then most of it that you can bank is over that period of time is 10.5%.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Or until the legislature meets again.
Yes, that's good. And y'all stop me. I'll keep going, but stop me if you want to further discuss any of these.
And then, excuse me for kind of going back, but on the certified rates, that'll be after they do the, people go in and challenge their values and all that, and then, so then it's hard after that. It's a hard number after that.
That is correct.
Right.
Yeah, so everything we'll look at today is just preliminary numbers.
Right.
Anything that
So
we look at.
What's the timeline looking like on that? I know that there was I saw some communications that they're maybe gonna be behind schedule on that certified.
Well, the deadline has come, so we know how many have filed. We're still running 4 different ARB boards right now. We've done 5 in the past, but I haven't seen or heard anything yet that indicates that we're gonna be running very far behind. I haven't even heard that we could be, but it might. I'll check I've got to go by there this afternoon. So
Behind or not behind, there's a date that he has to certify the road.
there is, and yes, there's no doubt that's there, but it's still, we got through COVID with it, and I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get through this with it, so.
Okay, thank you.
And then just a quick note on the public hearings. So public hearing on the tax rate, there is just one tax rate that is mandatory if your proposed rate exceeds that no new revenue rate. And then there is one mandatory public hearing on the budget. And then the way the law reads, it says that the court is to adopt the budget at the conclusion of the hearing. So that's why that public hearing for the budget occurs on that same day of adoption. And then again, like we talked about earlier, proper publications are made for all hearings. They're posted in the paper, they're on the website. So we'll be announcing through each court session, the judge can mention the date and time of all of the events that will affect the public. Okay, getting into numbers, there's a booklet we passed out we'll get to, but there's just a single sheet of paper that has green on it. So this information is on that sheet too. That sheet just has a little bit more detail. So I just kind of simplified it up here. Your preliminary certified taxable values, if you follow that arrow over 2022 tax rate year, will be at this point 24.3 billion. So that's compared to 20.1 billion for the 2021 tax rate year. And then preliminary tax rates, you'll see there the no new revenue rate is 0.356686 and the voter approval rate 0.451299. And you can see there, you can compare that to our current rate, which is 0.425.
Does that preliminary voter approval rate have the banking
It
add
does.
into it?
It
Okay.
includes the unused increment part rate. And then also just to note that, those rates include the INS, the interest and sinking portion, as well as the M&O, maintenance and operations portion. The INS portion, is calculated, and that's to cover current debt service. Of course, if you issue further debt, then that will increase those rates. It won't affect your M&O, but of course, it'll increase that total amount, that total rate.
Historically, what has our collection rate been? Has it been 98%?
So that is, and that's for the year that we're budgeting for. So, Randy Riggs a lot of time will post something, what is the rate of collection for a tax year? And a lot of times it's at 100 or a little over. And so, but that is just, we have to budget for that 1 year. We don't look at delinquent in the future. So that's what, when we budget, that's usually the percentage we're using.
We budget at 98%?
Yes. Yes, we've actually moved that up. I know we moved it up from 97%, I think 2 years ago, and we've kept it at 98,
Okay.
I believe. And then to put that into dollar figures, this chart up here, the middle column is our current rate, 0.425. So on the current preliminary taxable values, that's a total levy of 103 million. And you can see there an increase over last year of 17.7 million. And then going to the left, preliminary no new revenue rate, generating about 86.5 million. You'll see there that is very similar to last year's levy, just a little over $1 million more. And then the voter approval rate, preliminary voter approval rate, almost 110 million, and that's a 24 million increase over last year's levy. And then those sheets I passed out, that just kind of further breaks it down, shows you the INS portion, the M&O, and like you said, the amount that we would budget for 98% collection of the first year.
So the increase in levy under preliminary no new revenue rate of $1,146,000 is new properties multiplied times that rate.
Yes,
Right, that
yes.
gives you that additional.
Yes, they're looking at it as a total, so
It's kind of a complicated
it's very complicated.
equation.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, what is it, 8 sheets of,
Yes.
I mean, it gets smaller every year.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you can't hardly read it. It's so,
Is it getting smaller, or is it we're just getting older?
I might be getting older. I know I'm getting older, but, I mean, I was struggling to, I mean, you can, there's a lot that goes into that calculation.
There is a lot of pieces like, even properties that were in the appeal process at the end of last year,
Mhm.
properties that were adjusted after we adopted.
So that's what I was alluding to. There's an adjusted value at that, and I don't know where that,
That's probably.
Joe Don
from-
has not, never, he didn't really explain where that kind of, how that all
From
fits
existing
in.
lawsuits, and then also, it's only the ARB that has to be completed. You can still go to mediation after that.
Yeah.
So it's probably those few cases that are extended because of requests for they either file suit or they ask for mediation.
And the state furnishes a template?
The state
You plug your
comptroller,
numbers in.
yes, they furnish a template that our tax office, goes through and pulls the numbers and inserts those,
Inserts them in the template.
there, yes, and then we review and present to you all.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
With that,
So I'll just point out on this that, and I don't know, I guess I need to go in and figure out what, but our certified taxable value rose 21%. And our no new revenue rate is only 16% less than our current rate.
I also, when I first saw
So
that, I
so
redid.
so the delta, can you explain that difference? Or what, I mean, that, it seems like that the increased levy would be higher. I mean, I don't know, just.
Is it abatements and?
Well, I was surprised it wasn't more, thinking there would be more new property, to be honest with
Yeah,
you. But I
too.
think it just comes down to, it's not as much new property as I was anticipating, but that literally a lot of the increase in the taxable value is actual increases to properties that were on the roll last year, which is, of course, I guess what, that's the point of that rate, is what it's trying to do. So, but I backed into it I was thinking that same thing, that it seemed, that it was hard for me to comprehend
But
that number.
I guess if you go back and look, though, when you say you expected more, quite honestly, I was surprised to see it increase that much, because if you go back and look at the trend, it's been $1 billion a year for the last 4 or 5 years. And then all of a sudden it jumps, what, $4 billion in a year? That's pretty substantial.
Yes. But again, like if that's mostly on current properties, then
So,
that's being absorbed.
is it correct to say then that the average taxpayer is going to pay, if we go to no new revenue, is that average taxpayer going to pay 5% more?
As an individual, or the total taxpayers are gonna pay 5%?
I guess it depends on.
Averages, I'm just talking
how
about the
much-
average taxpayer.
How much
So
their-
each case scenario, each taxpayer is gonna be, each individual is gonna be different.
Yes.
Based upon the increase in value of their properties, correct?
That is correct. So if someone had $100,000 property last year,
Uh-huh. And it went to 121?
121, so
Yeah.
last year it would have been, last year they would have paid $42.50 based
Mhm.
on that 42 and a half cents.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, 121 times
Times 0.356686.
is $43.15. So that's a 65-cent increase, which is a 1.5% increase. And so then, just to throw out there too, of course, this will be our main topic through July. But we're using those levies to fund the budget. We're also using current fund balance, which will be a whole nother topic, and then other revenues, of course, too, sales tax, fines and fees. Those all have increased substantially as well. So we'll look at how those pieces all fit together coming up soon.
Then as the last 2 years, I think it's been, this year as well, you'll use the no new revenue rate as a baseline?
That's just, per your direction. Once we get all the requests together, let's see what our fund balance is, and then see where we land. Then we can plug a number that we'll, keep coming back to, and see where that puts us. Anything else before we?
Well, I mean, I think that is a good place to work off of. And we can, as we go through those budget, different departments and all, and if something significantly changes one way or the other, then we'll see where we are relative to that. No new revenue rate will be moving up and down.
I just know in the last few years, using that as a baseline, it's been very helpful in that, knowing where you're at in the moment.
Definitely.
And, because it's very fluid, as we know, and I think that's what we're trying to achieve, and so I'd just like to see us use it again as a baseline.
There are also some items that we just wanted to note for this next year, things that are just going to be a little different, or we had some different ideas. Every year there's areas of the budget, that someone's brought up that are historically under budget. We do try to, of course, attack those every summer, and we've made a lot of progress there. But this year, what we're going to do before we give you the request, we are looking at the entire budget. We're looking at small areas, large areas, department-wide, line item by line item, and seeing historically where are we under budget, where are we not spending, and then getting with those elected officials or department heads, and requesting that they work with us to get those numbers down to a more realistic number. And so, of course, we don't. I'm sorry.
I said good.
Oh, okay, I thought you were about to say something. And so, of course, we do not want any departments to be in jeopardy of not having enough funding. But, our goal is that we would give you the request and say, hey, we have tried to clean up as much over budget as possible. Also, inflation, so always the popular topic now. I know that that will be a reoccurring topic through the summer. And we have a lot of conversations to be had about it. But with all the department requests flowing in, we've seen that departments are requesting increases to certain line items for inflation, things that they are anticipating. Completely understandable. But we don't think it's going to be prudent to increase line items all over the budget, here and there, for what people anticipate inflation to be. Or what areas may be affected. So it just seems to be, it would be an inconsistent way to do it if you have one department that increases supplies by 8% and one department that increases supplies by 3%. So one of our recommendations is going to be that we don't budget those all over the place, but we budget another pocket in contingency to account for increases that we cannot control or are hard to estimate at this time. Again, that's up to you. Of course, there are exceptions, so fuel cost. We have seen all those already increase. Anything that we can tie to a contract, a quote, anything that we can solidify those increases. But just to have inflation increases here and there and everywhere.
Well, to know how each department head or elected official budgeted in those particular items, we need to be consistent. And I think that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Fuel, oil, and gas, we need to, maybe we get some economists to tell us what fuel, oil, and gas is gonna do. But it needs to be, whatever it is, precinct 1 and 4 ought to use the same factor to calculate what it is. Same way with copy paper. If different departments said, I think paper's gonna go up 15%, and the next one says 2%, we need to get those consistent. Not just have a fund available if they go over, which should give them comfort if we've got a centralized contingency fund under the control of the court. So I don't know how y'all think we ought to do that, but we can't use different factors to try to come to the same conclusion.
And, once we have it compiled, we can see, what those requests look like and come up with a consistent method, whether it's consistently increasing line items across the board or, putting something
So do we
in
know the methodology that each department head or elected official used?
No, and a lot of that's what is difficult. And a lot of times it's, a judgment call or, but
I mean, someone may have a great idea that we need to adopt across the board too, you know.
But, we can look at what the CPI index, which you will, I know, rely on for, a lot of your decisions like COLA
Yeah,
and
that
things
tells
like
you
that. So if we can tile that
where it is
together.
But if you do across the board, then there are items within that individual budget that didn't necessarily increase.
So that's our
That's gonna
concern.
be built in, and it's just
Yes,
gonna,
yes,
it has to be some other method.
yes.
But but no one's declared that they used a factor yet. So I
Yeah.
guess if it's a large increase, we need to ask, what's it?
You know, how'd they?
Is it inflationary, or or would you have done that outside of inflation, and you still have asked for
Yeah.
that much?
Yeah.
And we'll do that legwork so that when, you ask that question, that we'll be able to quickly answer that or
You know,
have that department head
if
answer
you
that.
had like contracted services and the amount contracted, they've already come back and told us it's gonna be the same as it was last year, but you throw in an 8% across the board, then you've automatically increased that 8%, even though
Yes.
it's not going to be increased.
I kind of looked at my fiscal increases from October through now, and I only really looked at repair and parts, because that was hitting me, and fuel. And then I kind of looked at what that increased trend was. But I like the more scientific method of having someone come in and tell us exactly what is the market going to do to us. And then perhaps in those areas across departments, we could do that increase, or we could set up a separate fund. But I like the scientific approach. But that's how I kind of looked at it, based on what hit me throughout the fiscal year.
And I bet there's studies that are out there, like I guarantee you Ray Pearman's already done an evaluation for somebody, or he wrote an editorial that says what he thinks fuel, oil, and gas is gonna do. Well, I'm okay with that too, as long as I mean, the thing that your idea of having this contingency for those coverage is a great idea, and it pulls the pressure off departmental pricing, or trying to be an economist, and so let's take the pressure off of them and use the same methodology, but if we're wrong, we've gotta, and it has to come full court to draw from it, so we get a chance to say that's a good idea or not. I mean, patrol, if they cover the same amount of miles and the same number of vehicles, then the inflationary cost of fuel, oil, and gas is gonna be why that budget went up. So,
And we ought to have some sort of idea what the increases are looking at based on,
yeah.
Actuals.
Yes, for sure. And especially like fuel, which is a very, very large cost for us. Like the last even just few months, it's given us a really good glimpse into what that looks like. So just wanted to point it out for discussion purposes. But again, I think it's going to be best, like we've all said, be consistent. And then if we're relying on some source for some sort of prediction for the next year, that it's a reliable source, like you had mentioned.
On that vacancy factor.
That's right.
It may just be me, but I'm having a hard time filling positions. Is everybody else running at full staff?
For the moment.
As of right now.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to work for me. But I say that, there are crucial positions, like my mechanic and equipment operator. So I don't want to go in, and when you say fund balance goal, adjustments to calculation for vacancy factor.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to cover. So I'm going to cover that next. So the fund balance, our fund balance goal of 33% of operating expenditures, is something that you base a lot of your budget tax rate decisions on. Due to the size of our budget and the number of the full-time employees that we do have, it's not out of the ordinary or strange that we do come under budget and we are not fully staffed. So that amount that we come under budget, it's a very large number. If you look at it as a percentage of total expenditures, I think it's reasonable. But in order to each year realistically meet our fund balance goal, we're proposing that we incorporate a variable to our ending fund balance calculation, and something like a vacancy factor. So if we look at, a percentage of our positions, we know we're always going to have vacancies, just when you get over 1,000 employees, that happens. So when we're coming down to that 33%, that calculation includes some sort of factor that we know we're not gonna spend all of that personnel budget. We do want to budget for them because our hope is that we would fill all those positions and departments would be fully staffed. But just something that would help us to get to more realistically every year come down to that fund balance goal and know that we could realistically meet it and not exceed it.
So are you basically saying that if there is a consistency year in and year out of positions that are funded that are never filled?
Yes.
That we maybe put a placeholder in there for them, or we?
No, I mean, I think if you're gonna approve positions, that you should budget for them. But just when we say we're gonna come to 33% of our operating expenditures, that we should pick out a percentage of personnel costs that we are confident that, maybe we may not need. We don't know what departments those will be in. We don't, we don't know how long of the year they may be for decision, for.
Well, the reason I ask
fill.
that is how often do we see the positions that we funded
Uh-huh.
that are never filled?
Yes.
End up going somewhere else in the line item?
It's in there.
So yes, and we're hope to provide y'all some information related to that
Good.
as well. But this would just be something I think if y'all, well, and again, we'll look at it when we have everything together in one pretty package. But just something that, we know that if we're gonna come under budget, we're gonna exceed our fund balance goal. So a way to realistically meet that goal each year. And then just one other thing, doesn't really have to do with numbers per se, but last year, Haley, I'll give her all the credit. She worked extremely hard and ensured that the published budget document that we published every year, that it met the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, best budget practices. So that was the reason for all of the additional information in the budget. It makes it more understandable, transparent, usable for us, for department heads, for elected officials, but for taxpayers as well. It gives them a glimpse into more information than just line items and budgets. Because of the improvements that were made to the document, we did receive the Distinguished Budget Award for the prior year's budget.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And because we are participating in that program, each year now GFOA will give us recommendations or things that we need to change in order to continue those best practices. It's very similar to what we do with our annual financial report. So one of the mandatory changes that they presented to us and that we have to implement is to include a countywide department goals and objectives. So it's beneficial for many reasons, but one reason is that it will be clear on how the budget correlates to what's actually happening in departments, what programs we're funding, how the budget is helping departments meet their goals. It'll also, I think, help in decision-making. So if a department is trying to reach a certain goal, a budget request could be clearly linked to that objective, and can help that process. So we have sent out that request to departments, and you should have all received one too. So I just wanted to give you a little background on that request. When we're starting small, and we know it's a lot to ask of people, but we'll build on that over the years. So
Could you send that request out again?
we sure can.
We might have wondered where it came from and put it in the trash.
It was in your spam folder.
Yeah. I might need to see that again.
All right. And I think that just goes along to more and more budget documents that governments produce are just more user-friendly, they're more transparent, they continue to have more and more information that the public can read and comprehend. So what's next? We'll have budget worksheets with all the important information in it, hopefully by June 17th. We'll alert you when those are ready, and we'll put those on the budget workshop drive. And then, of course, July 5th is that date that we will start sorting through all of those requests. So lastly, the other new thing we have this year is we've passed out what we're calling a budget binder. So you get department requests every year. And then, we have questions about historical information. How did we get to where we are? So this document covers the last 6 years, from 2016 to 2021. So these are complete years. Information's been audited, set in stone. We could have given you thousands of pages, we felt like. So we tried to condense it as much as possible, but we tried to give you pieces of information that we think gets brought up a lot around budget time. I also think that if you flip through it and skim through the information, it's good to have in order to make decisions for this next year. So just I'll quickly go through what is in there. There's just a very short and sweet synopsis of some major events that happened the last 6 years that affected us, that affected the budget. It also tells when we have issued debt, what years and the amounts. Then there's a lot of information on the general fund, revenue history, expenditure history, over under budget history, fund balance history. So that goes through page 11. Then on page 12, it starts information on salary and fringe benefits. So we've really pulled together all personnel information. We're telling you what we have spent for each year, what has funded those personnel costs, how that's compared to the budget, what the spread of the pay types is. You know, what are we spending on step pay? What are we spending on bilingual pay? And then there's some information on overtime and how that's changed. And then also in salary, a history of COLA amounts that you have agreed to each year. And then changes to the TCDRS plan, if any, for the last 6 years. On page 19, we've compiled capital outlay purchase information. So these are items that exceed $5,000. We depreciate them over their useful life. It does not include permanent improvement projects, but furniture, equipment, and vehicles. So it'll show you what we have spent over the last 6 years. And then there's a detail of the number of vehicles we have bought per year. And then there's information on our other funds, debt service, permanent improvement, and all of the special revenue funds. So again, that was just kind of flying through that, but I think it would be great if you like I said, review it, and if anything sticks out to you that you want further information, more detail, just let us know, and we can provide that to you at any time. So for today, that's all I have. We're more than happy to talk through anything else if y'all have any other.
Well, the other thing is we'll need to have a discussion regarding potential bond sales or future bond sales and how much. So we've got, rates are gonna be higher. Got some preliminary information from Martin Piney. So. Anything else? You have anything else?
I do not. That's why.
All right. If there's no questions, is there a motion to approve Francis' report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Dustin, anything else?
Judge, I believe that's it. I don't believe we need to jump into executive session for IT. We'll wait and hold that until next court session if needed on the training.
Okay. All right. If not, we will stand adjourned.
Recording stopped.